Have you ever pondered the question, can we force love, or should it be a natural occurrence? Today we're diving into the deep end of understanding love and relationships. The journey of love can be as complex as a labyrinth, with twists and turns that sometimes lead us to compelling crossroads. One such crossroads is the concept of natural love versus forced love. Natural love, like a gentle stream, flows effortlessly, enriching our lives with its warmth and depth. Forced love, on the other hand, is akin to a dammed river struggling to find its course amidst the barriers we build. This struggle often leads to complications, heartbreak, and a sense of unfulfillment. So, why do we force love? Why do we insist on pushing a square peg into a round hole instead of allowing love to take its own shape and form? Imagine a relationship where love flows naturally. Wouldn't that be ideal? Let us explore this further. What happens when we try to force love? Does it lead us to happiness or dissatisfaction? This question leads us into the second part of our discussion today: the pitfalls of forcing love. Forcing love can manifest in a multitude of ways. It might look like trying to fit someone into a mold they weren't meant for, holding on to a relationship that's clearly not working, or rushing into a commitment before both parties are ready. These actions, driven by the desperate need to be in love, often lead to emotional distress. Emotional distress can be a heavy burden to bear. It can leave you feeling constantly on edge, unable to enjoy life's simple pleasures. It's like walking on a tightrope, always fearing that one wrong move could send everything tumbling down. It's a state of continual anxiety and apprehension, a far cry from the warmth and security that real love is supposed to bring. Then there are the relationship conflicts. When love is forced, it's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. It just doesn't work. There will be constant friction, disagreements, and misunderstandings. The relationship becomes a battleground instead of a safe haven, an endless cycle of arguments and hurt feelings. Lastly, forcing love can stunt your personal growth. Instead of focusing on yourself, on your own needs and aspirations, you become consumed with making the relationship work. You might compromise your values, neglect your hobbies, or lose sight of your goals. In the end, you might find that you've lost yourself in the process. These are just a few examples of the consequences of forcing love. Of course, every situation is unique and the effects can vary. But one thing remains constant. Forcing love can lead us down a path of disappointment and heartache. It's important to remember that love, real love, is not something that can be manufactured or rushed. It's a natural process, a journey that unfolds in its own time. It's a connection that grows and deepens, not because it's forced, but because it's nurtured. Forcing love can lead us down a path of disappointment and heartache. It's better to let love happen naturally. So, how can we avoid forcing love and let it take its natural course? Well, it begins with self-growth. Sometimes we push for love out of a fear of being alone or because we feel incomplete. But it's crucial to remember that you are a complete person on your own. You don't need another person to fill a void or complete you. Focus on becoming the best version of yourself, and love will find its way to you. Understanding our own needs and desires is another important aspect. What are you really looking for in a relationship? Is it companionship, love, or is it just a societal expectation you're trying to fulfill? It's okay to be single and wait for the right person, rather than settling for less, or rushing into a relationship just because you feel pressured. Learning to be patient can be tough, especially when it feels like everyone around you is pairing up. But remember, good things come to those who wait. Rushing into a relationship can lead to heartbreak and disappointment. It's better to wait for a love that's worth it, rather than settling for something less. Emotional maturity plays a significant role in handling relationships. It's about understanding that love isn't just about the good times. It's about sticking together through the rough patches, supporting each other, and growing together. Emotional maturity also involves understanding and respecting the other person's feelings and space. It's about giving them the freedom to be themselves, rather than trying to mold them into someone they're not. Lastly, it's vital to remember that love is not a battlefield where you need to win or lose. It's a journey that you embark upon with your partner, filled with shared experiences and mutual growth. So don't rush it or force it. Let it happen naturally. Remember, love is not a race. It's a journey that should be enjoyed, not rushed. So take your time, nurture your self-growth, understand your desires, be patient, and allow love to find its natural pace in your life. So, what have we learned about love and relationships today? Well, we've journeyed through an intriguing exploration, haven't we? We've delved into the heart of the matter, discussing whether love is a natural occurrence or a forced event. We've come to understand that love, in its purest form, is indeed a natural phenomenon. It's like a seed that needs fertile soil, the right amount of sunlight, and just enough water to grow. It can't be rushed or forced. It blossoms at its own pace, in its own time. We then stepped into the pitfalls of forcing love. We've seen how trying to hasten love can lead to an array of complications. It might seem like a shortcut to happiness, but it's often a detour to disappointment. Forcing love can lead to unfulfillment, stress, and even heartbreak. It's a high price to pay for something that at its core should bring joy and comfort. We also touched on some practical ways to avoid forcing love. We've learned the importance of focusing on personal growth and self-love. We've discovered that nurturing our passions, interests, and individuality makes us more attractive to potential partners. It's about creating a life you love, one where a relationship is an addition, not a necessity. And now, as we draw to a close, let's remember the key takeaway from our discussion. Love is not a race, it's a journey. It's not about finding the perfect person, but about discovering the perfect love within an imperfect person. It's about learning, growing, and evolving together. So don't rush it, don't force it. Give love the space and time it needs to bloom naturally. Focus on becoming the best version of yourself. Build a life that you're proud of, a life that someone else would want to be a part of. And when the time is right, love will find its way to you. As we wrap up, remember this. Love should never be forced. It's a beautiful emotion that should be allowed to grow and flourish naturally. So, take your time, focus on yourself, and let love find you.